Hello dear students. In the last video, we have studied about the algae in the chapter 3 Plant Kingdom of Unit 1 Diversity in the Living World. So let us continue with the next part in chapter 3 Plant Kingdom, that is about the types of algae. Here for your study, you are having the study of three classes of algae, and that are Chlorophyceae, it is nothing but the green algae, Phaeophyceae, the brown algae, and Rhodophyceae, the red algae. So these are going to be the three classes of the algae that we will be studying in detail. So let us start with the first type of algae, that is the Chlorophyceae or the green algae. From the name itself, we can say that these algae are green in color. As you can see in the diagrams that are there on the left hand side, all these are going to be the examples of the green algae. These are the microscopic views of the green algae. They are usually small and unicellular. Unicellular means made up of only one single cell. So they are unicellular like you can see here, or they can be colonial. Colonial means those which are found in colonies or groups. Here you can see this can be considered as colonial, or it can be filamentous. So these are going to be the filamentous forms of the algae. Filament like longitudinal. So the green algae can be unicellular, colonial, or filamentous. Coming to the next point here, usually these algae are grass green in color. So very bright grass green in color they are, and this green color to the algae is going to be due to the pigment, that is chlorophyll A and B. So they are going to be having the pigments, that is chlorophyll A and B, in special cell organelles known as chloroplasts, because of which these algae appear green in color. So these organelles which contain the chlorophyll, known as the chloroplast, may be of different shapes based upon the type of organism. The chloroplast may be discoid shape, or plate-like, or reticulate shaped, or cup shaped, or spiral, or even ribbon shaped they can be. So in different species, the shape of the chloroplast is going to be different. Coming to the next part over here, let us see about the storage of the food in the green algae, that is Chlorophyceae. So most of these green algae are having one or more structures known as the prenoids, which are going to be the storage bodies located in the chloroplast. So as you can see in the diagram here, the green color things that you are going to be seeing over here, these are the cup-shaped chloroplast. In this, the blue color thing, this is going to be the prenoid. So this prenoid is the storage body. That is, the food produced by the organism is going to be stored in this form, that is in the form of the starch in the prenoids. So these prenoids are going to be containing protein and starch. So these prenoids store the food in the form of proteins and starch. Then, in some algae, we can see that they store the food even in the form of oil droplets. So, storage of the food, when I'm saying, take for example in the human beings. Suppose we are not going to be eating food for a full day or two, we still don't die. We are alive because our body, whatever food it is producing, it is utilizing it in the form of ATP to do the work, but some energy is also stored. Cholesterol is an example of that. The food in our body is going to be stored in the form of cholesterol. And whenever we need it, suppose we don't eat food for a few days, then this cholesterol starts getting dissolving, this fat that is going to be there, it starts getting dissolving, and it will help in the survival of the organisms when there is no food available. So in the same manner, in the case of this green algae, they are storing in the form of protein and starch in the storage bodies known as the prenoids. Here, in some of the algae, they are going to be having a rigid cell wall. Now coming to what is a cell wall. The cell, that is the organism, any cell is the basic structural and functional unit of any living organism. So when we are talking about the cell, this cell is going to be consisting of the cell membrane. The cell membrane is going to be a bag which carries all the cell material, and this is present in all types of cells. But especially in the plant cell and in the bacterial cell, we can see that around this plasma membrane there is going to be one more thick layer known as the cell wall. In different plant species, we can see that this cell wall is going to be made up of different type of material. So in the case of the Chlorophyceae, the cell wall is rigid. Rigid means hard, and it is made up of cellulose layer and an outer, that is an inner cellulose layer and an outer pectose layer. So the cell wall is mainly made up of the cellulose layer from the inner side and the pectose layer from the outer side. So here in front of you is going to be an example, that is Clydomonas, which is an unicellular green algae. Apart from that, we can take another examples here. Apart from the Clydomonas, here you can see the first diagram is the Clydomonas, how it is exactly looking. Then the other example is going to be the Volvox. This is how it looks. It is in the colonial form. Then the Ultrix, this both are going to be the Volvox. Then here you can see this is going to be the Ultrix, this is going to be in the filamentous form. Then the Spirogyra, Spirogyra are going to be a very special type, because in the Spirogyra, the chloroplast are going to be in ribbon shape. Like if I have to show you, suppose this is going to be one cell of the Spirogyra, then in this, the shape of the chloroplast is going to be like this, ribbon shaped chloroplast it is going to be having. So a very peculiar type of cell wall is going, chloroplast is present in the Spirogyra. Then Chara is going to be another example. So the examples of green algae are Clydomonas, Volvox, Ultrix, Spirogyra and Chara. Coming to the reproduction in the green algae, in reproduction we can see, as we have already seen when we were studying the general characters of algae, here the same thing, the reproduction takes place by three methods: vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation, as I have already explained it to you in the last video. This is fragmentation. Then we can see apart from fragmentation, it can also produce some type of spores which is helping in vegetative reproduction. Then the asexual reproduction is by production of flagellated zoospores which are produced in structures known as the zoosporangia. So here you can see this is going to be the zygospore from which we can see many of the zoospores are going to be released. These zoospores can grow into a new organism which can again further produce many zoospores. So this is asexual reproduction. So in the sexual reproduction where the male and the female gametes are going to come together, so that can be by three methods: isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous. The definition of all these three we have seen in the last video. Then coming to the Phaeophyceae, that is the second type of the algae. Second type of algae, Phaeophyceae, that is the brown algae. So the brown algae are mostly marine forms. Marine means in the sea water. They are going to be mostly found in the sea water. These brown algae show great variations in the size and forms. Here only in the diagrams only you can see. This is going to be different from this one and this one. So see how different types of brown algae are going to be there. So they are going to be of different sizes and forms. So they are going to be there from simple branched filamentous forms. So for example ectocarpus, so this is going to be a simple branching you can see in this case. So simple branched filamentous form to profusely branched means very rapidly branched or more branches are going to be present, as you can see here in the clips. So they can be simple branching or they can be profusely branched. And this Klebs atlas is going to be a larger one, around 100 meters in height it can be. Coming to the pigments that are going to be present in them, we can see that they are going to be having the pigments like chlorophyll A and C, carotenoids and xanthophylls. These are the main pigments that are present in the Phaeophyceae. Coming to the color, that is the brown color. So these algae, Phaeophyceae, are going to be mainly brown color, but sometimes the color may vary from little bit of olive green. This is what olive green color you can say, little bit brownish green. So from olive green to brown color depending upon the amount of xanthophyll pigment fucoxanthin. So here fucoxanthin is going to be the pigment which is giving the brown color to the brown algae. This is a type of the xanthophyll pigment. Fucoxanthin is a pigment from the xanthophylls, a type of pigment of xanthophylls, and it is going to be giving the brown color to the brown algae. Depending on how much amount of fucoxanthin is present in the plant, that much color brown will be there of that plant. Coming to the food storage, as we had seen in the Chlorophyceae, it is going to be storing in the prenoids in the form of proteins and starch mainly. In this case, in the case of Phaeophyceae, the food is going to be stored as complex carbohydrates in the form of laminarin or mannitol. In the form of laminarin and mannitol, they are going to be storing their food. The vegetative cells have a cellulosic wall covered by a gelatinous coating of algin. So in the Chlorophyceae, the cell wall was made up of cellulose, but here they are having the cellulose, but plus together with cellulose, the cell wall is going to be having a gelatin coating, a thin coating of gelatin which is going to be of the substance that is algin. So because of which here you can see a little bit of shiny appearance you can see of the plants. Then coming to the plant body. So the plant body is going to be usually attached to the substratum. That is, they are not moving to something stones or to the branches of the trees or to the base of the sea. They are usually going to be found attached, as you can see over the diagrams here. They are attached to a substratum. Substratum is going to be nothing but anything to which the organism is attached. So they are going to be attached to the substratum by a hold fast. So this is going to be the hold fast, which acts like the roots of the plant, and then it is going to be having a stalk that is going to be called as the stipe. So here you can see this is going to be the stipe. So here this is going to be the stipe, and then it is going to be having a leaf-like photosynthetic organ. The leaf-like photosynthetic organ is going to be called as the frond. So the plant body is divided into the holdfast, the stipe, and the frond. Then coming to the examples of brown algae are Ectocarpus, Dichota, Laminara, and Sargassum and Fucus. These are the examples of brown algae. So you can see over here the diagrams. This is Ectocarpus, this is Sargassum, and in the last you could see this is the Laminarian, Fucus, and the Dichota, how they are appearing. Then coming to the reproduction in the brown algae. In the reproduction we can see again same thing. They reproduce by vegetative reproduction, that is by fragmentation. Then asexual reproduction is by biflagellated zoospores. In the Chlorophyceae it was only zoospores, but here they are biflagellated. Bi means two. Flagella is going to be tail-like thing which is going to be helping in the movement. So they are going to be having, they are going to be biflagellated, and these flagella are going to be what you can say unequal. So here suppose this is going to be your organism. So one is going to be having a small one and the other flagella is going to be larger one. So they are laterally attached, as I am showing you here in the diagram, or here you can see they are going to be laterally attached and their unequal flagella are going to be present. Then coming to the sexual reproduction. The sexual reproduction is going to be again same thing by three methods, three types: isogamous, anisogamous, and oogamous. So union of the male and the female gametes that is there is going to be occurring in water or within the oogonium, that is the egg cell. Then here the gametes are pear shaped, bearing two lateral attached flagella. Coming to the next one, that is going to be your brown algae. Red algae, that is the Rhodophyceae. So coming to the third type of algae, that is the Rhodophyceae. So Rhodophyceae are given the name so because of the red colored appearance. So they have a red thalli. So thalli, I was telling you even in the last class, this is going to be a thalli, how it is exactly looking like. A flat body, it is the thalli. So they have red thalli, and this red color, red thalli, is going to be due to the presence of the red pigment, that is phycoerythrin. So because of the pigment phycoerythrin, the red algae are having the color. Majority of them are specially marine. So marine organisms are going to be there living in the sea water, and that too in the warmer areas. They occur both in well-lighted regions close to the surface of the water and at great depths in oceans where relatively light penetrates. Little light penetrates. So they are present on the surface, as you can see over here, or even in the deep waters where the light penetration is very less. Even there you can find the red algae. So most of them are going to be multicellular. From here multicellular organisms have started. If you have observed the development only in the Chlorophyceae, some of the examples like the Clydomonas were unicellular. But apart from that, next as we are progressing here, only the multicellular organisms you can find, organisms made up of many cells. Some of them are going to be having complex body organization, and the food is going to be stored in a special type of starch known as the fluoridine starch, which is going to be structurally similar to amylopectin and glycogen. So here are going to be some examples of the red algae, that is Polysiphonia, the first one, then the Porphyra, this one, Glassaria, and the Gelidium are going to be the examples of the red algae. Coming to the reproduction, again reproduction is same. Vegetative reproduction by fragmentation, asexual reproduction by non-motile spores. Remember, in the Chlorophyceae and the Phaeophyceae, they were motile spores. They were zoospores which could move. But here in the Rhodophyceae, they are non-motile spores. The spores cannot move. And the sexual reproduction by oogamous, that is only by oogamous. The other two are not going to be there. What is oogamous? One large female egg which cannot move, and there are going to be many small male eggs which are coming to the oogamous. So non-motile gametes are present, and it has a complex post-fertilization development. So this is going to be about the Rhodophyceae, that is your red algae. Now here this is going to be important, a comparison between the three types of algae, that is the Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and the Rhodophyceae. So when we are talking about these three types of the algae, that is the Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and the Rhodophyceae, we have just now seen the different characters of them. But from the exam point of view, usually they are going to be asking you the difference between the any two type of algae. They can ask differentiate between Chlorophyceae and Phaeophyceae, or differentiate between Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae. So these type of questions can be asked in exam. Apart from that, one more questions can also be asked saying name the food storage body in Rhodophyceae. The answer has to be fluoridine starch. Name the pigment present which gives red color to the red algae. The answer should be phycoerythrin. So in this manner, we have to remember the types of different important points of these three algae. So here I have put an easy chart for you. So Rhodophyceae, Phaeophyceae, Rhodophyceae. Common name of Chlorophyceae is green algae, Phaeophyceae brown algae, Rhodophyceae red algae. Coming to the three major pigments present in the three classes, the major pigments present in the Chlorophyceae, the green algae, is chlorophyll A and B, because of which it is green in color. In Phaeophyceae, the chlorophyll A and C are present. Apart from this, the xanthophylls and creatinoids are present. From the types of the xanthophylls, fucoxanthin, the most important one, which is giving the brown color to the brown algae. In the Rhodophyceae, they are having the chlorophyll A and D. From this, the phycoerythrin, very important one, which is giving the red color to the red algae. Coming to the storage of the food, in the case of Chlorophyceae, it is storing the food in the form of starch. In Phaeophyceae, it is the mannitol and laminarin, and in Rhodophyceae, it is the fluoridine starch. Composition of the cell wall. What is the cell wall made up of? In Chlorophyceae, it is made up of cellulose. In Phaeophyceae, it is made up of cellulose covered by algin. And in Rhodophyceae, it is only cellulose. Coming to flagella, that is the type of zoospores. Here they can be equal and apical. 2 to 8 flagella are present, which are equal and apical. Here we can see that there are 2 unequal and lateral, and here they are non-motile in the Rhodophyceae. So apical means, suppose this is going to be the organism, like this 2 types or 2 flagella are going to be coming, which are equal. Herein we can see they are lateral, in which one is going to be smaller and other one is going to be larger. And herein these are going to be non-motile. Coming to where they are found, where is the habitat, where they are found? Chlorophyceae are found in the fresh water as well as salt water, plus in the brackish water, means in the dark waters. In the Phaeophyceae, we can see they are going to be fresh water, rarely. They are very rarely in fresh water, only they are found mainly in the salt water and the brackish waters. Whereas the Rhodophyceae, some are going to be fresh water, but many of them are present only in the sea water, that is the salt water, and in the brackish waters. So this is going to be a comparative study of the 3 types of algae, that is the Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae. I know here new words have come into introduction. Keep it simple, and if you are not able to understand anything, at least try to by heart this table, so that if question of difference or 1 mark question is going to be asked, by just looking at this table you are able to answer the questions. Especially the type of pigments, the food stored, the flagella, all these simple things, 2 to 3 points at least you remember. So this is going to be about the higher algae. In the last video, we have finished with the characteristics of algae and the benefits or the economic uses of the algae. And today we have finished with the 3 types of algae, that is the Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae. In the next video, we will be studying about the second part now. If you remember the classification of plant kingdom, one side it was higher algae, and now we have finished the higher algae. So we are coming to the other side of the chart, that is the embryophyta. The embryophyta is having again 2 subdivisions, bryophyta and tracheophyta. So in my next video, we will be starting with the next part, that is embryophyta. In that, the bryophyta we will be studying in my next video. Meanwhile, please keep your notes up to date. As I am sending, you write it down into your fair book. So that's all for today.